I'll be leaving with my son's new bride, so you'll take care of my husband forever." Those words from my mother-in-law hit me like a bolt from the blue. In simple terms, she's backing up her son, who's having an affair. It seems my husband and my mother-in-law are planning to live at my husband's mistress's house from now on. Meanwhile, my father-in-law, who uses a wheelchair and needs care, lives in this house. Ignoring that fact, my husband and my mother-in-law moved to the mistress's house. I can't forgive their behavior, but I also can't leave my father-in-law alone. Just when I was wondering what to do, my father-in-law finally stood up. "My name is Linda, and I'm about to turn 30. My husband's name is Tom, and we married 3 years ago. We used to laugh at silly topics every day when we first got married, but recently our conversations have significantly decreased. Is this what's called familiarity? As we got to know each other, we desired not passionate love, but a stable life. Our married life is stable, but I also feel that every day is monotonous. About a year ago, Tom's overtime increased. He said his work suddenly became busy. He never had any business trips before, but now he's leaving home once every few months. That said, he gives me living expenses, and I also have a job, so I don't have time to think about him all the time. When he occasionally came home early, we ate dinner together and filled in the blank time. When others look at us, they might see a couple who's fallen out of love, but that's not it at all. This is our way as a couple. For me, this marriage life was normal, even if every day felt the same. Then one day I came home from work and my husband, who should not be at home at this time, was there. His return is never earlier than 10 p.m., but it was only 7 p.m. now. "Welcome home," he said. Thinking it was unusual for Tom to greet me, I asked, "Tom, it's unusual for you to come home this early. They didn't have overtime today." Actually, I got a call that my dad had an accident during his work and was hospitalized, so I rushed home. "Is it true, your father?" According to his story, my father-in-law's car was hit by a car that ran a red light and rushed into the intersection. The doctor said fortunately his life is not in danger, but he may have to live in a wheelchair from now on due to paralysis in both legs and one arm. An accident. My father-in-law, who loves the outdoors, now has to live in a wheelchair. I was unable to keep up with this heartbreaking situation. My father-in-law, whose hobbies are hiking and fishing, used to take my husband and me to various places. He'd always says, "Let me know any time if you need help," and he treated me like his own daughter. Such a loving father-in-law now needs to live in a wheelchair. I just couldn't believe it. My father-in-law runs his own company, but my husband works for a different one. So my husband first found out about his father's accident from his mother's call. He seems frustrated because he can't visit his father right away in these circumstances. I was also really sad that my kind father-in-law had become wheelchair-bound due to the accident. But this is not the time to be shocked. He looked me in the eye and spoke, "Linda, Mom has a favor to ask about Dad." "What did your mother ask for?" "She's asking if we can help take care of Dad together." "Take care of your father together." "Yeah, Mom's getting on in years, and it seems like it would be difficult for her to do it alone. So she thinks it would be a big help if we cared for Dad together." "So, in other words, we have to move to your parents' house." "We'll have to. There is plenty of room and space for us to live there. Is that okay?" I couldn't answer. I cared deeply about my father-in-law and love him very much. Still, it's hard to agree to a sudden request for help with caregiving, especially since I have no experience. It's not that I don't care about him, but I have a job, and I don't know what to do if I'm suddenly asked to give care. I tried hard to think of another solution, but nothing came to mind. He seemed to sense my hesitation, looked at me straight on, and held my hand. "Please, Linda, I know it's a new experience and it's tough, but if we leave it all to Mom, she might collapse." "I think it's going to be hard, but I'm working too." I want you to quit your job, Linda, and focus on caring for Dad with Mom. Leave the living expenses to me. Quit my job. Yes, I'll work and support you. Dad in his wheelchair and Mom, who will be giving care, both need your help. Tom was on his knees, begging repeatedly. Seeing his desperate face made it hard for me to refuse, so I quit my job as he asked and started caring for my father-in-law. After we started living together, some time passed. One day during dinner, my husband suddenly stood up and announced he was going to take over his father's company and become the president. My father-in-law seemed surprised but inwardly pleased that his son would take over the company. With tears in his eyes, "Tom, I can't believe you said that. You always said you wouldn't work at my company." Well, I was just embarrassed, but now with things as they are, I can't leave the company alone. Thank you. I was worried about the future of the company. I was considering leaving it to someone I trust, but if you want to take it on, I would be happy to leave it to you. I knew you'd say yes. I'll do my best as your son. Please create a good working environment for my employees. Of course. After that conversation, Tom took over as president of his father's company, while his father-in-law became chairman. Even though being chairman often implies retirement, there was still a lot of work involved. However, my father-in-law mostly left his name with the company, and Tom handled the actual operations. 2 months flew by since Tom took over as president. By this time, he was coming home late every night. At first, I thought it was just because he was getting used to the job and working overtime was inevitable. But working overtime every night for 2 months seemed strange. There was another reason I was becoming suspicious of my husband, the smell he had when he came home. One night, I couldn't sleep. I had gone to bed at 9 p.m., but I woke up past midnight feeling thirsty. I went to the kitchen for some water when I heard Tom coming home. "Welcome home," I said, noticing he smelled like soap. He looked startled and asked, "It's late. Are you still awake?" "Yeah, I couldn't sleep tonight. You're still coming home late, Tom." "Shut up. I suddenly had to take over my father's business, and I don't understand anything about it. It can't be helped. It's only been 2 months, so it's hard because you're not used to the job. I'm going to bed now. I'm so tired," he said, heading to the bedroom quickly. As he passed by, the strong smell of soap lingered. I grabbed his arm and asked, "Tom, who are you working overtime with every day?" "What are you talking about all of a sudden?" "No, it's just, you smell like soap, Tom." "You're imagining things. I'm working hard. Don't ask me such troublesome questions," he snapped, more irritated than usual. His attitude made me uneasy. Seeing my concern, he sighed and said, "I really wish you would stop. It's annoying to be questioned as soon as I get home tired." "I didn't mean it like that. I was just curious." "Are you implying that I'm cheating? I'm working hard every day so you can live without any inconvenience." "I understand that, but if you have time to investigate such nonsense, you should at least clean up. I'm not free," my husband said, making a lot of noise as he went upstairs. When he entered the bedroom, he turned his back to me and started fiddling with his smartphone. I tried to apologize, but he completely ignored me. The next day, my mother-in-law approached me with a fierce expression, having heard about last night from my husband. "Linda, you accused Tom of cheating yesterday, didn't you?" "No, that's not true. I just asked him who he was working overtime with." "That's enough to suspect him of cheating. Tom is working hard for you. Did you say that knowing that?" "Of course I understand that, and I'm grateful. I was just asking because I was curious." "That's what I'm saying is wrong. What do you want to accomplish by making Tom uncomfortable? It's unacceptable as a wife." My enraged mother-in-law dumped all the housework on me and left. She doesn't think highly of me. Although she pretends to share the housework in front of my husband and father-in-law, in reality, I am the one who does everything. Naturally, I am the one who takes care of my father-in-law. During the day, my mother-in-law finds reasons to go out and always comes home in the evening. My father-in-law, who mostly spends his time in his room, doesn't know that she's out so often. He hardly ever leaves his room except to meet with company representatives who occasionally visit him. Furthermore, my mother-in-law has warned me, don't say anything strange to James and Tom. I felt the unfairness of my self-centered mother-in-law, but all I could do was silently handle the housework and caregiving. The reason I could endure my daily life was largely due to my father-in-law. Every time I helped him, he looked genuinely sorry. "Linda, I'm sorry. I'm sure you hate taking care of an old man like me." "Don't worry about it. I think of you as my real father. I'm happy to help." "I'm glad Tom married someone like you, Linda. Despite all the trouble I've caused with my care, you still speak so kindly to me. I'm a lucky man. Father-in-law, I'm also happy to have such a kind person as you in my life. I had many days when I felt uncomfortable due to my husband and mother-in-law's behavior. Even so, I could keep going because of my father-in-law who valued me. My job was to help him get ready for bed and turn off the lights. One night, after finishing everything and returning to the living room, I saw my husband sitting next to my mother-in-law. He usually wasn't home at this time, and he seemed to be having a conversation with her, smirking. I had a bad feeling. "Linda," good timing, "we have something to talk about," my mother-in-law said. "Talk about what?" "I'll tell you straight. Please take care of James here for the rest of his life." "What do you mean by that?" "Tom and I decided he should live with his new wife." "A new wife?" I was shocked by her words. What did she mean by a new wife? What on earth was she talking about? Why was Tom silent? As if to mock my silence, Tom handed me the divorce papers. "I have a woman I'm seeing right now, and I've decided to move in with her along with Mom," Tom said. "What? What are you talking about?" "I'm packing up and leaving with Mom. You can decide what to do with the divorce papers. I guess your job is still to take care of everything here." "What?" My vision went dark, and I collapsed on the spot. Ignoring me, my husband and mother-in-law packed their bags and left. Tears ran down my cheeks in the silent living room. Then my father-in-law appeared in his wheelchair. "Linda, what happened to Tom and Susan?" I heard noise and came to see what was going on. James, actually. "Linda, what on earth happened? Why are you crying?" I told my father-in-law what had happened. His face gradually hardened, and by the end, his eyes were fierce. When my father-in-law quickly stood up, he spoke in a powerful voice I had never heard before. "Let's fight back, Linda." "Your legs, James." "I'm sorry for keeping it a secret. I've been able to walk for a while now. Don't worry, just leave everything to me. I'm ready." He took a large envelope out of the drawer and showed me what was inside. It contained numerous pieces of evidence of my husband's infidelity and, unbelievably, evidence of my mother-in-law's infidelity as well. "James, what is this?" Since Tom became president, I asked my trusted employees to monitor his behavior at work. It turns out he left work exactly on time every day, even though he always came home after midnight. My father-in-law found my husband's behavior suspicious and hired a private investigator. He also knew that my mother-in-law was going out during the day, so he investigated her as well. The private investigation confirmed that both were cheating. Moreover, my mother-in-law knew about Tom's mistress. There were even photos of the three of them together. My father-in-law said he had obtained this evidence recently and was wondering when to tell me about it. I know it's not right to say this, but I'm glad I could tell you. What do you want to do, Linda? I can't stand it like this. I want to fight back. I see. Then leave the rest to me, he said. He quickly grabbed his phone and made a call to someone from the company. As a result, my husband was ousted from his position as president. Following my father-in-law's advice, I filed for divorce and, with the evidence of infidelity, demanded a division of property from Tom through my lawyer. About a week passed. My lawyer must have contacted Tom because he came to my parents-in-law's house, looking outraged. As soon as he entered, he spoke to me and my father-in-law in a stern tone. "Hey, Dad, what's this all about? What's infidelity got to do with being ousted as president?" "Shut up. You didn't help me at all with my care, and you made Linda suffer. Someone like you becoming president was a mistake." "But I disown you. From now on, I won't even allow you to cross the threshold of this house." "But, Dad..." Tom collapsed to his knees in tears, desperately appealing to me while I looked at him with scorn. "Linda, I beg you, I'll withdraw the divorce. Please," he pleaded. "What?" "Please persuade Dad with me. I'll break up with the other woman. Just drop the demand for division of property." Even at this point, he was only thinking about himself. I was utterly disappointed in him. To clear up my gloomy feelings, I became resolute. "Withdraw the divorce? What are you saying?" "I never asked for that. I'm glad to be divorced from a scumbag like you. I'm not going back to you ever again." "Does that mean you filed for divorce?" "Of course. Why should I stay married to a scumbag like you? Your divorce and being ousted as president are your own doing. It's the seeds you sowed." "What are you saying?" "Those divorce papers were just a threat." "Your mother, your mistress, I hope you all go to hell together. Keep up with your spoiled ideas of getting help from someone else." With that, I chased him out the front door and slammed it shut. From outside, I could hear Tom wailing, "Please help me. I was all wrong. I won't do it anymore. Please forgive me, Linda. Dad, don't abandon me, please." James and I did not respond. Upon learning that Tom was ousted as president, his mistress promptly threw both him and his mother out of her house. With nowhere else to go, they were forced to live in a cheap motel for a few days. Having lost his job, Tom and his mother quickly depleted their savings. They struggled to make ends meet and had to go into debt. Working as day laborers, they couldn't afford to rent a room and were just living from day to day. As for me, I'm still taking care of my father-in-law in his house. "You are welcome to stay here as long as you like," he told me after the divorce. Grateful for his kindness, I decided to continue living with him. Recently, he started going to a senior daycare center, so I work while he's out. There will likely be various issues in the future, but no matter what, I want to do everything I can for him.